Right now, on the machine you are watching this on, a service that has not changed its core design in 18 years is quietly reading and writing to your disk, guessing which programs you are about to open. You did not install it. You cannot see it in the Start menu. And on a modern computer, most of what it does for you is nothing at all. Its name is SysMain, and it is one of 9. These are the services and background tasks Microsoft turns on for you by default, on the assumption that your computer is the same slow, memory-starved machine people owned when Windows Vista shipped. For a lot of them, that assumption expired a decade ago. They stayed on anyway. They spin your disk, they climb your processor, and a few of them do something your audience here cares about far more than speed. They send data about your machine back to Redmond, whether you ask them to or not. Every one of them can be shut off. None of it requires a special tool, a paid program, or a registry hack that risks your install. It is all done from a panel already built into Windows, and every change you make here can be undone in the same place just as fast. Number 1. Let's start with the one already running. SysMain used to be called Superfetch. It arrived with Windows Vista, back when a normal computer shipped with 1 to 4 gigabytes of memory and a spinning mechanical hard drive that choked on more than one job at a time. On that hardware, guessing which apps you would open and loading them into spare memory ahead of time was a real, measurable win. Programs opened faster because the work had already been done. Then the hardware changed, and the service did not. A solid-state drive retrieves a file in a fraction of the time a mechanical disk needed, and most machines now carry 8, 16, or 32 gigabytes of memory. The problem SysMain was built to solve barely exists on a modern computer. What is left over is a service that, on some systems, sits near the top of your task list writing to the disk during the exact minutes the machine feels frozen. If you own an older computer with a mechanical drive that regularly shows 100% disk usage while everything locks up, and service host SysMain is riding the top of that list, turning it off can genuinely quiet the machine down. Here is the honest part, because the people watching this will check. On a fast newer computer with plenty of memory, disabling SysMain will not make your games run faster or your processor free up in any way you can feel. What you get is a machine that behaves more predictably, with fewer sudden background spikes. That is the trade across almost every service in this video. The gain is a system that stops doing work you never asked for, not a number on a benchmark. To shut it off, press the Windows key and R together, type services.msc, and press Enter. That panel is the control room for everything in this video. Scroll to SysMain, double-click it, set the startup type to disabled, click Stop, then Apply. Restart and use the machine normally for a day before you judge it. It is 18 years old, and it will not be missed. Number 2 indexes everything you own. Windows Search runs a process called searchindexer.exe, and its job is to catalog every file, every email, every document on your drive, so that when you search, the answer comes back instantly. When it works, it is invisible. When it does not, people have watched it seize 80 and 90% of their processor, looping endlessly on a single large file, a corrupted mail archive, or a folder full of video. The machine roars, the fan spins up, and the culprit is a service most people never search with anymore. If you rarely use Windows Search, or if you already keep your files organized yourself, the indexer is costing you more than it returns. Back in that same Services panel, scroll to Windows Search and set its startup type to disabled. Search still works afterward. It simply looks through your files at the moment you ask, instead of cataloging them around the clock. Number 3 is the one this audience has been waiting for. In the services list, it is called Connected User Experiences and Telemetry, and it runs under the name DiagTrack. Its purpose is to collect diagnostic and usage information from your machine and transmit it to Microsoft. Usage patterns, system configuration, error reports. It runs constantly in the background on a personal computer that is nobody's business but yours. You may think you already turned this off in the privacy settings. You did not. Not fully. The settings toggle limits some of what is gathered. The service itself keeps running underneath, a separate piece of machinery that the setup screen never showed you. Find connected user experiences and telemetry in the list, stop it, and set its startup type to disabled. Be precise about what that buys you, because overstating it is how you get things wrong. Disabling this service reduces the volume of data leaving your machine and removes the periodic processor and disk spikes that fire when a telemetry job runs. It does not make you invisible. Other pieces of Windows still phone home through separate channels, and we will get to one of them before this video is over. But it closes the single largest and most direct pipe, and for a lot of people that is the entire point. Number 4 has been using your internet connection to serve other people. It is called delivery optimization, and the idea behind it sounds reasonable until you look closely. When Windows downloads an update, delivery optimization can hand pieces of that update off to other computers across the internet, using your machine and your bandwidth as a distribution point for Microsoft. On a single computer at home, you are donating upload capacity to a trillion-dollar company for a service you gain almost nothing from. This one you can leave partly intact and simply stop the uploading. Open Settings, go to Windows Update, then Advanced Options, then Delivery Optimization, and switch off Allow downloads from other devices. On a one-computer household, there is no reason for it to be on. A security problem, not just a speed problem, defines number 5. Print Spooler manages printing. It is on by default on every copy of Windows, including on machines that have never had a printer attached and never will. That would be a minor annoyance if the Print Spooler had a clean history. It does not. It has been the source of serious, high-severity security holes, the kind that Microsoft's own guidance and outside security researchers have urged people to shut down on any machine that does not need to print. If you never print, this is the easiest decision in the video. Return to the Services panel, select Print Spooler, stop it, and disable it. You lose nothing, and you close a door that has been kicked in before. Number 6. Reports your crashes. Windows. Error reporting, listed as WEIR SVC, gathers information every time a program falls over and sends the details to Microsoft. On a stable machine, it does very little except wait. And when something does crash, it adds one more background job. Collecting and transmitting data you will never see or use. For a personal computer, it is another quiet outbound pipe with no benefit to the person sitting in front of the screen. Locate Windows error reporting in the list and switch its startup type to disabled. If something is watching your programs for problems you already know how to solve, it is number 7. The Program Compatibility Assistant, listed as PCASVC, monitors the software you run and looks for signs that an older program is struggling on a newer version of Windows. On the technically literate machine of someone who watches a channel like this, it is redundant. You already know when a program misbehaves, and you already know what to do about it. Meanwhile, the service sits in the background doing compatibility bookkeeping you never read. In the panel, find Program Compatibility Assistant Service and disable it. Number 8 only exists for a feature most people never touch. The Windows Mobile Hotspot service runs so that your computer can share its internet connection with your phone or another device. If you have ever done that, you know it. If you have never done that, it has been sitting there ready for a task you will never give it. There is no reason to keep a service running for a feature you do not use. One more time in that same panel, find Windows Mobile Hotspot service and set it to disabled. The day you ever need to tether, it comes back on from the exact same spot. Lastly, number 9 is the one almost every guide misses, and it is the reason the phrase "already turned that off" is a trap. Earlier, you disabled the telemetry service. Microsoft built a second layer underneath it. Inside a tool called Task Scheduler, separate from the Services panel entirely, sit a set of scheduled jobs that collect and send exactly the kind of data you thought you had already stopped. They carry names like Microsoft Compatibility Appraiser, Consolidator, and the USB customer experience task. They are set to run on their own timer, and here is the part that matters. They fire even after the telemetry service is disabled. You close the front door, and Microsoft left the side door on a schedule. To reach them, open the Start menu, type Task Scheduler, and open it. Work down through the library into the Microsoft folder, then Windows, and look under the folders named Application Experience and Customer Experience Improvement Program. The tasks are there. Right-click each one and choose Disable. This is the step that turns the third item in this video from a partial fix into a real one, and it is the single most hidden thing on this entire list, because it lives in a tool most people have never opened. So what does all of this actually change for you? Not a magic number on a speed test. Anyone who promises that is lying to you, and you would catch them. What changes is that your computer stops doing a long list of jobs you never approved. Fewer sudden spikes on the disk and the processor. Less of your bandwidth spent uploading to strangers. And a real reduction in how much of your machine's private business gets quietly shipped out to a company that decided on your behalf that it was entitled to know every one of these lives in the same 2 panels, and every one of them can be switched back on from the same place the moment you want it. Nothing here touches your antivirus, your firewall, or your ability to receive security updates, and you should never disable those for the sake of a little speed. What you are switching off is the layer Microsoft added for its own convenience and left running on yours. If Windows quietly running services you never agreed to is exactly why you are done trusting it, the next question is what you actually do about the operating system itself, and that is the harder conversation. Stay with this channel and we will keep having it. For now, here is the one worth arguing about in the comments. Of these 9, which one bothers you most? The telemetry service, the scheduled tasks hiding underneath it, or the fact that a company worth more than most countries is using your upload bandwidth to save itself money? Tell me below. This audience knows this machine better than most, and I read what you write. Microsoft turned all 9 of these on for you and never mentioned it. Now you know their names, you know where they live, and you know how to shut every one of them off. The computer was always yours. It is time it started acting like it.